Okay. Well, good day, everybody. My name is Ellen Pensky, and on behalf of Packet Fusion, I want to welcome you to today's Lunch and Learn. It's part of our series of helping you to see clearly in 2020. Today's technology landscape is dynamic, and it's complex, and it can be challenging, as you all know. So today's Lunch and Learn is sponsored by Mitel. As remote working continues to be the new normal for many people, I'm sure everybody here can relate to that, the need for seamless cloud communications and collaboration has never been more important. So Mitel has worked together to bring people together, and they're now innovating how Microsoft Teams users can enhance their business communications. So I know it's a topic that's really important because we have a really good crowd today. So just a couple of housekeeping hints for you. Presentation will be about 30 to 40 minutes today, and we'll save questions for the end. Please note, because we do have a large audience, we will be muting all the phones. But if you'd like to ask a question, you can type it in the questions box, and we'll be monitoring that during the session. We're also going to be recording the session today, and we'll make it available to you afterwards. And of course, don't forget that this is a lunch and learn. That means that we're going to be sending out Grubhub gift cards to the first 20 people who attended, and I've been keeping track of that. For those of you who were the first 20, we will be sending the cards out right after the session, so you should look into your inbox for that. And now I'd like to introduce our speakers. First up is Packet Fusion CEO Matt Pingatore. Matt tells me he's got 30+ years of experience in the telecom industry, and he's acknowledged as an industry leader with a wealth of knowledge and experience about getting to the cloud. And today's featured speaker is Travis Muller, who is Mitel's Collaboration Marketing Manager. And he's going to be aided today with some special demonstrations with Frank Facelli and Brian Flandro. Travis is the Product Marketing Manager for Collaboration at Mitel, and he's responsible for crafting and sharing the collaboration story for Mitel's cloud-based apps, and for also ensuring that partners and sales teams are equipped to discuss team collaborations and its benefits. And prior to this role, Travis has worked both in the field marketing and demand generation teams at Mitel. So we've got the right team here to talk to you about Teams. So go ahead and let me turn it over to Matt.
Thanks, Ellen. Appreciate that. We've got a great group of people here. Looks like we got a big attendee list here. Super excited. I recognize about over half of them. 50% of you guys are on our ShoreTel Mitel Connect Prem. I've got about a quarter of you guys here on our Mitel Connect Cloud. And the other 25% are net new people I don't know, maybe looking at Mitel as an alternative to what you guys are doing today, which we would love to talk to you about. As we all know, we've been busy at Packet Fusion helping our customer base, survive what's going on right now in this work at home situation. And we're getting your premise-based system to act more like a cloud-based system. But in that time, everybody's gravitated towards, Zoom and Teams. And Teams is, basically, quote unquote, free for a lot of people. Where it's not free is when you have to add PSTN or dial tone or basic PBX features. They have the feature, they have the ability to turn it on, but where they fall down is on the execution of it. So they're very good at collaboration. This is Microsoft. Where they don't do so well is through the actual transport of the actual phone call itself. They recognize this themselves, and they're starting to get more flexible with how they interact with the ecosystem. And so over time, Teams has opened up more and more hooks, if you will, into the client. And we're going to show you today different ways your existing systems can work with Teams today through click-to-call and types applications. So at the application layer, we're going to show you how to launch and work with and how the integration works with Mitel. That's one way people are doing it. And a lot of Mitel's competitors are doing it the same way. The other way that Microsoft finally has allowed is something called direct routing. And that's where the Mitels of the world and others will become the underlying transport carrier, and you live within the Teams client itself. And so that's coming in the very near future for a lot of these carriers and a lot of the players out there, Mitel included. And I'd love to chat with you about that. So here at Packet Fusion, our job is to understand the landscape, the team's landscape, and everybody else's, Mitel's included, different offering and how it all integrates together. Today, I've had to spend a lot of time with Travis and how Mitel's integration works today, and couldn't be more pleased that there's no charge for what we're providing for you guys for, you know, the people that are already on Mitel. Obviously, if you're not on Mitel, you got to get on Mitel to take advantage of this. So we would love for you guys to contact us if you have any questions or want to understand the team's landscape further or better than what we're about to talk to today. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Travis, and he and I are going to kind of ad-lib this as we go along back and forth, but I'm going to turn it over to Travis. So Travis, go ahead.
Thanks a lot, Matt. Yeah, I appreciate that intro. I think you really succinctly went through what we're going to go over today. And really what I wanted to start with in our conversation is just laying the landscape a little bit of why we're talking about this. Why is Microsoft Teams on everyone's mind? Why is work from home and making sure that employees have the right tools so important? I think that's a pretty easy answer for us to give, but as you look at this slide about the future of work, this is something that we've been at Mitel talking about and preparing for years, that we've been equipping companies to help their teams work remotely, that we've been helping to get this story out there. And it has really been accelerated, obviously, this year. As we look at what we started to do in February and March of equipping many of our customers with some different features and helping them to get their entire workforce working remotely. This is really what it comes down to. That the nature of work for an employee is different today, and they need tools that are going to help them be as productive, be as effective with the time that they have. And so as we look at how a lot of companies have responded, and feel free to jump in on this one about your own company, Matt, is, you know, we've seen that, you know, when the pandemic first hit and many companies made this shift, it was really a lot of, okay, what can I implement today? What's a Band-Aid that I can put on this problem to help my employees be effective, to get their work done from home and keep everyone safe at home without having to come into the office. And that was really priority one. It wasn't about looking at your technology strategy for 5 years down the road. It wasn't about implementing something that's gonna be a cost saver at that point. It's really just about getting something that filled in the gaps. And that's where Microsoft Teams really took off, because many customers out there already had an Office 365 license. And so with Microsoft Teams being included there, it was very easy for companies to get up and running with that. Now we're kind of looking as things have settled down and companies are really starting to look ahead a little bit more at, okay, things are working well. We've got our systems in place for the time being. Let's look at how we can be more efficient, more productive with the tools that we have. That's where this reassurance phase that I think that we're in now of really starting to plan and look at the operations in the future and saying, are these Band-Aid solutions that I've put in place for the time being, are they really what's best for our employees, for our company, or are there ways for us to blend and get a best in class in different areas? And that's where we think Mitel fits in really well within Microsoft Teams. And so looking at, you know, what are some of the actions that companies are taking and having to look at and process, you know, the first one is pretty obvious. I don't think anybody thinks that we're ever going back to the way work used to be. 100%. You know, there will be plenty of offices that reopen. There will be people going back into the office, and we'll get back to that at some point, and it'll be great.
I just want this school thing to go back to the way it was. This homeschooling thing is crushing me.
Yeah.
But they're using this stuff too. So
how many of your employees do you think that's affecting?
It's tons, and
Yeah.
we're being as flexible as we can and with schedules, and we get it. And these people, everybody their kids have to go to school and they have to manage it and they have to become a part-time teacher. It's crazy.
Right.
Hope it gets back to normal someday.
Yeah, so it's not just companies, it's managers who are managing, different teams and having to realize that the way things have worked in the past can't continue. You have to be more flexible. You have to be more understanding of everyone's needs during this time. And so really what this leads down to from a technology standpoint is making decisions that are going to affect the future. And that's why really the time is now for a lot of companies as they look ahead to say, what are those decisions that we're going to make today about our technology strategy that's going to affect the way that we do business in the future, and
Yeah.
make sure that we have the right tools.
Yeah, I mean, I always like to say, this digital transformation, since this has happened in the last 3 or 4 months, if you didn't have a digital transformation plan, then you certainly have one now, right? And this digital transformation, the word scares people. To me, it's nothing more than doing business transformation stuff we've done forever, just trying to fine tune and get better for our processes, people. And now we have these really, really cool tools to do this new transformation with. And one of the biggest ones is UCaaS, Unified Communications as a Service. That's what we're talking about today.
Absolutely. And so as we shift the conversation more specifically to Mitel and how we work with Microsoft, that's what we want to focus on. That Microsoft, as you said at the beginning, Matt, they have done a great job with collaboration and embedding those tools into where people are already doing work. And what we're trying to say at Mitel is that we can enhance that experience within Microsoft Teams with our UCaaS solution. And so, I mean, this is probably the most obvious slide of all time, because everybody's heard of Microsoft Teams now. We know what it is. It's a place where you're chatting, you're sending group messages, you're sharing files, you're doing video meetings, you're doing all these things, and it's a great tool for a lot of that. And as Matt said, there are some deficiencies when you start looking at some of the telephony features that are included. As you look at especially some of the enterprise PBX level features that are needed for a lot of companies, and even within, I would say with all companies, there's a subset of users who have really specific needs of being customer facing and needing to be sure that you're always being able to deliver a great customer experience to anybody who calls in. A lot of this is not really native here, and that's why they are opening up to providers like Mitel and allowing us to integrate within Teams. And and so let's show off a little bit of that. And really what it's about is getting the best of both worlds. We believe that for those that are already using Microsoft, those that are already using Teams, that's where you're living on the desktop. You're spending your time in that app, in Outlook for email, your calendar, all of that's run through Microsoft. When you combine that with the best-in-class telephony and voice provider like Mitel, who's been doing this for over 45 years, really it's about bringing those two things together to make sure that your employees are able to communicate as effectively as possible. And so with that, I am going to go ahead and pass it over to Frank, and let's let him talk for a little bit here.
Thanks, Travis. Hello, everybody. The graphic that you see on the screen here is a depiction of our Chrome browser extension and its functionality in Teams. And we're going to show you this live in a few moments, but just want to kind of articulate how this makes life really easy for our end users when they're using Teams and they've got Mitel Connect phone for their service. The Connect browser extension lives in Chrome, and with that extension, it detects where there is a phone number on any web page. So how this really benefits us with Microsoft Teams is for those folks who are using Teams primarily through a web browser. There's a small icon that gives you the ability to mouse over and click on that telephone number to dial it right out from your Mitel phone. Now, your Mitel phone might be one of our desk phones, or you can also use the Chrome extension as a soft phone as well. And can we look at the next graphic, please, Travis? Thanks. And the alternative way of doing this for folks who are using the fully installed Teams application, the desktop app Teams, and not just the web browser access, is we've got a helper application that we call App Dialer for short. And App Dialer allows you to select a telephone number and then invoke a keyboard combination hotkey combo to launch a phone call from your Mitel phone. We'll see this a little better as I start to share my screen. So why don't we go ahead and do that, Travis? I'll go ahead and do a screen share. Okay, and if you can give me some validation that it's screen share is working from me.
Looks good.
Great. Okay, so you're looking at my Windows desktop screen, obvious from the taskbar at the bottom. And so as I open up my Chrome web browser, I mentioned that the browser extension, of course, lives inside of Chrome, makes it really easy. It's up here in the upper right corner of your screen here. And with this extension, I have the ability to open up settings just very briefly. I can tell the extension whether I've got a desk phone active and near me that I'm using, or I want to go with soft phone. Using soft phone is great because that operates right here inside the web browser. So that gives you full mobility and full access to your Mitel phone service, whether you're anywhere near your desk or not, or if you even have a desk phone. Again, full mobility is just a part of what we do. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. And let's take a look at what it looks like when we're in Microsoft Teams. And we're using the Microsoft Teams from a web browser. Let's look at an interaction with my colleague Marcus here. We exchanged a little bit of information now. So let's say that I want to call Marcus and we need to discuss something that we're working on. It's maybe small to see over the web share, but as I hover over that phone number, I get a little mouse over that says call with Mitel. When I click this, it's going to immediately call out from my Mitel phone, and that's actually on the desk behind me. So I'm going to go ahead and click that, and suddenly I'm dialing out to that party. And so right here, I'm calling Marcus from my soft phone. You're seeing this embedded here into the Chrome extension. I have call control. I can transfer. I can hold the call. If I'm interacting with an IVR, instead of calling Marcus, I have dial pad ability to enter digits, and naturally I can hang up right from here. And I showed you how that looks from the aspect of using the soft phone. What we also can do, in addition to the soft phone, is I can use this same functionality that you just saw to actuate my desk phone, which I've done just now. So the soft phone is built in. You can easily switch between the soft phone and the desk phone if you're a desk phone user and you're on the go. So that's what it looks like when we're using the web browser experience. And I want to switch and show you what it looks like with the fully installed application, so you can get a feeling for both. So here's a different desktop that we're looking at right now, and I'm go ahead and bring up the Microsoft Teams application. And my Teams application is taking up most of the screen here. So again, I'm logged in as a team with the same account, and I'm going to go take a look at my contacts here and show you how easy it is to just click to call somebody in your contacts list. So we're going to go ahead and take. We're going to go ahead and give a phone call to, if I can get my screen in the right place. Oh, we'll use this. This is actually an IVR, but for demo purposes, this should look just fine. So I've selected that telephone number right there. And what's out of range of the camera is my keyboard, where I'm going to invoke Control-1, because that's the keyboard combination that will dial out directly. And in the left side of the screen, you're seeing my desktop version of the Connect client. So whereas before we showed you the web extension version, now we're showing you the Connect client as a fully installed application. I have the same level of call control that I had before. I'm going to go ahead and hang up this call, and I want to show you real quickly that I also still have the ability here to switch from desk phone to soft phone and back again. So we not only provide many different ways to take advantage of your Connect service, but we make it very easy for you to switch almost on the fly from one to another. And let me give you a better look at how you can make those adjustments yourself if you're using the app dialer. The app dialer sits in the Windows taskbar lower right, and as I open up the settings, and we'll minimize the background here, you can see that I get to choose what I use as a Windows hotkey, because you may have other applications on your computer that utilize keyboard hotkey combinations. So you get to decide what digit and then what accompanying button you're going to invoke for that hotkey. I'm going to go ahead and minimize that. And just a couple of additional notes on the application dialer and the web browser extension. So want to reiterate, the browser extension can be used as a companion and a CTI tool to your desk phone, or it has the built-in soft phone that you can use whether you're teleworking or working from the office. It really doesn't matter. The application dialer that we just looked at here is installed into Windows. So it is a small Windows helper application that augments our Connect client and allows you to dial out from your phone directly from an application where, in the case of Teams, you can select the phone number and then just hit a hotkey to dial out. This doesn't give me the ability to answer a call inbound by clicking something inside of Teams. So we just want to make sure to be aware of what direction the integration that we have so far.
But that call inbound would be generally to your Mitel client anyways. So you're still directing all your inbound calls to your Mitel client anyways.
Exactly, Matt. And we would simply answer that call either by pressing the button on the desk phone or by clicking in the soft phone interface to accept the call. So you're perfectly right there. So Travis, I think we're probably ready to pivot over to the next topic.
Sounds good.
Go ahead and stop sharing.
I'll go ahead and get my screen share back going. Thanks for showing that, Frank. I know there were some questions that came up that we're trying to answer in real time, but just a reminder, we are going to do a little Q&A at the end as well.
And
so
if you could put the questions in the Q&A, it just makes it easier. I'm doing them both in the chat, but it makes it easier if they're all in the Q&A versus the chat.
All right. Assume you're seeing my screen again.
Yep.
And so I just want to highlight again that is like those integrations are for a variety of Mitel platforms, including MiVoice Connect, including MiCloud Connect, and as we're looking to these two that we have coming would apply in the same way to our MiVoice Connect and MiCloud Connect customers. And one other thing I also want to highlight is that all of these integrations with Microsoft Teams, we are doing at no additional cost. It's included with your pricing that you get from Mitel, which is not the case for all of our competitors. And so that is something that Mitel is really trying to emphasize, is that we're trying to just work into the workflows. So the next thing that I want to highlight, which is coming really soon, is our integration with MiTeam Meetings. And what MiTeam Meetings is, it's Mitel's version of a video conferencing application. And we released this earlier this year for our Mitel customers, and have gotten some really great responses. And so really what the reason for this integration is for a Mitel customer who wants their video conferencing tool deeply embedded with their voice service, with their telephony, that they can now have that integrated within the Teams client as well. So we're adding an application to the Microsoft App Store, which will then allow users to quickly start a video meeting of MiTeam Meetings if that's their meeting of choice. And then the next one,
Travis,
yeah,
to go back to the slide if you don't mind. This isn't exactly perfect for this meeting, but there are amazing amount of our install base on this. And today on the Mitel cloud customers, your old video conferencing went away and your new video conferencing just happened about 3 weeks ago. I don't know if you guys noticed a new interface. And this is what they're using, this product that Travis is talking about right now. It's clean, it's cool. We use it a ton when we're on Mitel, so it's good. My Mitel premise-based customers, this is available to you on an ad hoc basis. It's not as integrated as it could be today. Come fourth quarter with the next release of Connect for premise, you'll have an integrated dialer app and an icon within your Connect client that will launch this application so you can have an integrated experience. And then further down the road in the very near future, you can sign up for it and pay for it within your director, within your director on your premise-based system. So a little bit off topic, pretty cool stuff.
No, that's
very
good.
excited that you guys have done this. You guys are going in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. And then if that's exciting, I know that this one will be, which is direct routing, which is really what we're talking about when we say that. It's really making it a very tightly integrated experience within the Teams client. And so when you're in the Microsoft Teams application and you're making calls, receiving calls, dialing, looking at your voicemail, once we have this, and as it says, slated for Q4, we're in development with it right now to make sure that it's a really good application with seamless transitions. That this is going to not look any different. Like, it's all going to be in one place for users, and it's really going to make that just even an easier experience of bringing your voice into the rest of the collaboration.
Very cool. Yeah. So, the concept here is Microsoft realizes, they only dial several international countries. They're going to get better. They bought MetaSwitch. They're going to get better in the near future. But right now, they're falling behind in pure telephony. And they've opened the doors for third-party carriers, and there's about 20 of them out there. Mitel happened to be one of them as well. You can live natively inside your Teams application. When you hit dial, the end user has no idea it happens to be going out Mitel or one of the other 20 carriers that we represent as well, but it'll go out Mitel. So one of the negatives on the Mitel side is if you sign up for their PSTN connectivity, there's really no support, right? They're going to charge you. They don't know what they're doing. They don't want to take the call. So they're okay. They want people to do this direct routing and get stuff off of their PSTN because they don't do a good job with it. This direct routing coming in Q4 he's saying right now for the cloud, there's also a direct routing coming for the prem, where you can use your SIP trunking or your PRIs as the trunking methodology off of your premise-based system using the Teams client. Today, we have the ability to do SIP trunks between your premise-based ShoreTel or Mitel and your Teams instance to create a 4-digit dialing in a common directory, but we can't take the dial tone yet for the premise-based system. That's coming fourth quarter or Q1 next year. What he's showing you here is that the direct routing on the cloud side will be here very quickly. Travis, did I get that right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So just to kind of summarize the relationship with Microsoft, Mitel's been doing this for years, from Outlook integrations to CRM integrations, single sign-on, all these ways that users who are using Microsoft in a lot of areas of their life are easily able to integrate Mitel into their current workflows. So this is just an extension of that. This is just the next step that Mitel is bringing advanced telephony in this click-to-call type of environment to Microsoft Teams. But as you said, Matt, there's a lot of other companies out there who are doing similar things. So why would a customer, why would somebody choose Mitel to handle their voice, to handle their telephony, UCAS, etc. And so really what I want to start that conversation with is just talking about end-to-end communications and collaboration. That really what we have strived to do at Mitel is from the desk phone that sits there to your mobile device to your desktop, that all of these devices can work together seamlessly, that you never miss a call, that you have reliable service, and that you have the functionality that you need in all of these different areas to get work done, to get calls and to make calls, and for the advanced features as well.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I can jump in here, Travis.
Absolutely.
You know, just taking each one of these, right? So the IP phones, like no one wants to make phones anymore. Point blank. Poly makes phones. They don't do a service. They only make phones. Yealink only makes phones. They don't have a service, right? Mitel, maybe Avaya, but they threw in the towel a while ago too. But Mitel literally is the only player out there that has their own phones. What does that mean? Right? Just simple things like when you hit dial, the phone actually goes off the hook. Everybody else, you have to hit dial and then hit the button on the phone. Just simple things that you take for granted, right? The integration, because they're using SIP, but they're using their own flavor of SIP, they get to add like 50 more features on the display and have a lot more interaction with the display than a traditional SIP phone does on the Poly or the Yealinks. So, and their lineup of the phones, I think the breadth of the phone lineup is far superior than anybody else's out there. So big fans of that. Were you going to have a slide on contact center later, Travis, or do we go into that now?
I have a slide on it in a little bit, so we can.
Do you have one on mobility client?
No, we can talk about that here.
Yeah, so you know we're looking at all the other players' mobilities. Our job at Packet Fusion is to understand the landscape of everybody's, from Ring Central to 8x8 to Zoom to everybody's to Mitel's, understanding the landscape. Obviously, we've been doing Mitel for 20 years, so we understand what's going on. And their mobility client is pretty darn cool. The way they have some PSTN integration, nobody else has that. So there's some things that the mobility client within Mitel does that nobody else does. Right? Collaboration, I might have to fight you on there. Teams is kind of winning that battle. But as you said here, you guys integrate nicely. The desktop integration, nobody does telephony better than Mitel, right? You guys, this is your background. This is where you started from. You guys do PBX, dial tone, and you know the obscure PBX features that we know and love. The Zooms and the Teams are never going to do them. You guys do a better job at that stuff. So if you need a true telephony experience, the integration between Mitel and Teams, pretty clean.
Yeah, that's great, Matt. Yeah, again, this is, I won't spend too much time on this because I know you've kind of touched on this. Really, what we strive to do in the development of the applications that we create and the hardware that we create is to make it customer first. And so how is it that you're actually using your phone on a daily basis? How is it that you're actually communicating with other people? And weaving that into a mobile first design with our clients and making sure that it's easy to use. That's really what it comes down to. And then the final point of that I'll talk about is just making sure that it's dependable. And so with specific to MiCloud Connect for a second, working with Google Cloud to make sure that we have the best in support, reliability, and making sure that our cloud service is as dependable as it can be by partnering with Google Cloud on that. And so that's been a really good partnership for us there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just on that, like, so, you know, a lot of the players out there are on their second and third generation of platforms of what they're doing and how they're doing it in the cloud. And Mitel is no different, right? They came from a, you know, premise-based system. They put it in the cloud. Then they did some rack-based stuff. But now they are in GCP, Google Cloud Services platform. So they are not in the hardware game. They don't own hardware. They don't own data centers. It's in Google, the worldwide data centers, and it scales, it's reliable, the uptime, dependable, all the stuff there. We're big fans of it, and I'm glad you guys went that direction.
Yeah, so let's talk a little contact center. And really the key point of our story when it comes to contact center, I think, is flexibility. That whether you are enterprise level with a high amount of needing to scale with seasonal workers and great amounts of functionality, AI tools, we have a solution for that. Or if your needs are a little bit more simple and you just want something that's deeply integrated into your voice solution, that we have something tailor-made for those customers as well. And so really for us, it's about making sure that they're, no matter who the customer is, that we have a way for them to deliver an exceptional experience to their customers. So Matt, I don't know what you wanted to add in terms of contact center there.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of Mitel. I mean, Teams doesn't have a contact center. They have partners that they integrate with, of which we do several of those as well. Those are the more higher end contact centers, very expensive. Mitel has their ECC, which hopefully everybody knows and loves on the call. That's in the cloud that we can provide inexpensive, very reliable, very cool routing at an inexpensive way on a cloud platform. If that doesn't work, their CX is the next generation cloud type platform. Is a little more expensive, but the theory is whether you have a contact center light or a sophisticated contact center, Mitel Cloud can help you get there. Whereas Teams, they point blank, they don't even have hunt groups or work groups. So it's a difficult proposition for them. So they're looking for partners to do this.
I already talked about Google Cloud, so I won't spend any more time on that. But really, I also want to highlight the post-sale experience for Mitel and how really it's not just about what we have done at Mitel. I think it's it's great to have Matt on this call because really it's about our partners. We are very much a partner-led company when it comes to our sales and our support. And so it's companies like Packet Fusion who we have worked with for years and trust and know that they're going to take care of their customers, that we are working together to make sure that we get customers onboarded well, we get them fast implementations, and that if any issues come up that we are able to handle support. And so again, that's just another strong partnership between Mitel and our partner community there.
Great, beautiful, love it, thank you, totally agree.
Yeah, won't spend much time here. I know we want to get to the questions.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, we've been around for a while. You can look us up. We've got some good reviews out there from some great companies like Gartner, Frost & Sullivan, et cetera. And so again, just to summarize, there's been a huge shift that's happened in 2020, and it's not something temporary. It's going to be around for a while. And so while Microsoft Teams is meeting the needs of a lot of customers' collaboration, we know that by partnering with Mitel to get advanced telephony features, a customer can get the best of both worlds. And so now's the time to kind of evaluate and look at, do my employees, do my users have the right tools that they need to be able to communicate effectively and be as productive as they can be. And with that, I'll go ahead and let you lead the Q&A here, Matt, and
yeah.
We've got a couple other Mitel guys to help out with that from Frank.
One of the first ones is, how much is this, right? I think you said it once, maybe they came late, but there's no charge, right? Little interesting stuff on this. If you're on the Mitel Cloud right now, you get it. If you're on Mitel Prem, in theory, you're supposed to upgrade to Connect. If you're on 14.2, you're supposed to get to Connect, but we can do some fancy work to get the licenses for you today. So the app dialer and the web dialer and the Chrome extension are no charge. You get them. Continuing on with that, the app dialer is only for Windows and it's only for Office products, right? The app dialer does not work in the Mac environment. The web dialer works in both Windows and Mac on, keep me honest here, Frank, multiple browsers, right? What browsers are supported for if anybody knows, you could rattle them off. I know it's the basics ones.
Yeah, we've got, this is Frank. So of course, Chrome has those ways of doing it. we've got the click to dial, not a full soft phone, but a click to dial widget available for a couple of the other mainstream browsers. That has been changing fast as browser technology has been updating at a breakneck pace. So really, at any given moment, it's best to kind of do a check-in with Mitel and, hey, I'm looking at going to Safari. Will I be able to use a click-to-dial extension? Let us check that out and make sure that that will work.
But continuing on with that, the name of the Chrome extension by nature only works with Chrome, and that's where we're putting the soft phone, the
Right.
presence, the voicemail capability inside the Chrome browser, doing WebRTC, really cool stuff that is only available in
Chrome.
We
Exactly.
we don't see it going to any other browsers at this time. I'm privy to the roadmap. I haven't seen it on the roadmap. Another one of my customers here, I already responded, Ari, to you remotely, but it's a great question. Can the Chrome extension function in a work group fashion? I've been begging and begging for this, and the answer is no. And Frank, you want to jump in there? It's not even on the roadmap. They don't even give me the discussion. They just say it's not what it's intended to do.
Yeah, if we're talking about for cloud customers and the question of when can I have work groups functionality, the work group feature set has not been ported from our Premise Connect into MiCloud Connect. So currently, call flows that rely on the work group functionality and features, we need to devise other ways, different ways of handling those calls in migration towards cloud. The Chrome plugin won't solve it for us. Right. It's not intended to do that.
How do you get, this is an easy one, I think, how do you get the desktop Mitel Connect connected or added to the Teams platform? Is it ad hoc? So I think the answer here is kind of what we showed you. You really don't, there's no connected at the core level from Microsoft Teams core Azure, Colo to your premise-based system. All of our applications today before direct routing are done at the application layer, right? We're at the desktop layer. So we're taking your layer 7 application Teams and our layer 7 application Connect or Chrome plugin, and the interface is happening at the desktop. So we do it there with some plugins. So we're not really connecting Microsoft and Mitel together at the back, core internet level. We're doing it at a desktop level. So you download the clients, you configure them, appropriately, and voila, it starts working. Frank, you want to jump in? Did I get that?
Yeah, you pretty much summed it up. But what we've showed you today is happening at the desktop level. So the Connect client is not really plugged into Teams directly. That helper application, the app dialer, reads that, or it takes what you have selected with your mouse, or by selecting, essentially it's selected text, but it's a phone number, and that in turn invokes the Connect client to dial from your phone, soft phone or hardware.
Great point. Like, this is an app dialer and a web dialer. This is not called a Teams dialer, right?
That's correct.
And Teams happens to be a web and an app. So you download the web dialer, anything in Chrome or Safari or Firefox is going to be highlighted with that dialer. So any website, any Google search, and you just click and your phone goes off the hook and dials. It just so happens that Teams is being presented as a web format in that browser, and you'll have the Mitel icon.
Exactly.
So same thing on the app dialer for the Windows people. Anything in a Windows Office environment, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, same concept. You'll have the little Mitel icon. You click and it dials. And just so happens Teams is one of those apps. Teams hasn't quite opened up all of their APIs for us to put the icon. So you still have to do a keystroke for today. We're still fighting with them to put the icon. So, we want Teams to function just like all your Office products do. It doesn't today because they don't allow us to put the icon. This is true for everybody out there. Everybody has to do this keystroke dial in the app dialer for Teams. Travis, maybe you, or maybe Frank, you can answer this one too. Where do they, and we'll take all these answers, questions. We'll get them answered along with the video. We'll send them out to everybody. But for Mitel Cloud, where do they get the URL to download the app and Chrome extension?
We can provide that with the Q&A. I'll get that right over to you, Matt, and we can send that out with the list if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one for the voicemail profile. We won't do that one. Yeah. Oh, so one is asked. This is a big. We ran into this with one of our big Yelp. Yelp is a big customer of ours, and we're asking people not to run the Connect client and the Chrome plugin at the same time. They both do queries in real time back to the director or the DVS server, and I do it in our office. We're only 50 people, but if you get it to the 100, 200, 500,000 people and they have two clients hitting the server, it just creates unnecessary impact on the server. So it's recommended that you don't put both of them at the same time working.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's work on. Yeah, so there's one on the mobile Teams, right? So we're not interfacing to the mobile Teams app. So
True.
that is native. You're not going to click a dial out of that and launch the mobility client. So that is something we're looking into. The APIs aren't opened up yet. So you would have to you'd have to move over to the mobility client from Mitel and dial out of there kind of manually, if you will.
Correct.
Work groups, we did that one. I'm so we're all download the app dialer. There it is. Does the app dialer require additional license or costs? No. With the direct routing, how does user manage their voicemails, call routing, configuration greetings, and other preferences on the PBX and work groups? So direct routing, you will live inside Teams, right? And you will configure everything inside Teams. And all direct routing is doing is fundamentally making your premise-based ShoreTel system sip trunks off of it, in a nutshell. So you're living in Teams, you're managing Teams. When they hit dial, it happens to just find a call path to your premise-based ShoreTel system to make some calls, to use the SIP trunks, or the PRIs, if you will, to make the outbound calls.
Yes, we're essentially taking SIP tie lines. Of course, you have to use specialized SBCs to do this, the session border controllers, SIP tie lines between the Mitel system and the Teams environment.
Yeah, here's some questions that are very non-Teams. We'll get back to that. So, Brian, you've been answering these. Thank you. Connect clients, do these integrations work? Yeah, so for on-prem Mitel Voice Connect clients, do these integrations work, or is this only Mitel Cloud? So hopefully I've been hitting it home. That is for both, right? This is a app and web dialer, both cloud and prem agnostic. Well, you pick whichever one it'll work. Direct routing, a little different story for prem and cloud, and time frame for both of those. Okay, do we get any more Q&As in since the last? I think that's all the Q&A opened. Let me see the last one here. Okay, how does Mitel stack up against Microsoft Phone? How does Mitel stack up against Microsoft Phone? Right, I think it's kind of what we're kind of hit through the whole time here. To me, the Microsoft, if you are not making a lot of calls and you do not value voice and you're making a couple calls a day and you don't need to call international, you don't need tech support, the Microsoft PSTN calling will work. It's expensive. This is no charge. You get to use your existing infrastructure, but it works. But it's very limited in feature and scope. If you are used to and need the advanced features that you've grown accustomed to in the Mitel world, you know, that's where I say you're going to need something more than what Teams is offering out of the gate for their PSTN connectivity. And it's expensive because you got to do the E5, then you got to do the license, then you got to put on the PBX license, and then you got to put a calling plan on there, and it gets complex, expensive, and there's no support for it. So, you know, it's a case by case basis. Okay, well, we'll get back to that. So for the direct routing, yeah, for the direct routing for on-premise, will it be license-based cost? I think it will be. There will be some form of SBC required. So there'll be some hardware where I need to connect to Teams. It's really going to be through a third party that if you're interested, I can tell you about later. So there will be a charge for it. I don't know the charge. It's got to be cost effective and cheaper than what Teams is doing today, or else there's no point in doing it. So costs will be revealed. If you have questions about what's coming down the pike, you want to get in deeper discussions, get a hold of us, and we'll have more conversations with that. Thank you, Eric. I love the question. Okay, I think there's a couple of really obscure ones that we'll do one-on-one with. That's about it. That's what I got. Travis, you want a couple closing remarks, and I'll wrap it up too.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the time, Matt, to get out and talk. I think we're just. I hope we've shown during this our commitment to at Mitel to making sure that advanced voice features and telephony, working those into the existing workflows of customers. So we know that Teams is being used by a lot of people today, and that's why we are making such an investment and so putting a lot of resources to making sure that we have the best integrations that we can with them. So
awesome. And I'll end it with, if you haven't figured out, Packet Fusion is transformed. We're no longer a premise-based ShoreTel VAR, right? We are now a cloud and cloud advisor, right? We're understanding your needs and taking you to the cloud solution that is the right fit for you. And it just might happen to be Mitel, but it could be one of others. And Teams plays a role into where we're going to take you for your next generation UCaaS solution. A lot of you may stay on-prem for a long time. Mitel is committed and dedicated that your ShoreTel Connect product will be alive for another 10 years with new cool fun features that we're showing you here. So rest assured you're alive and you're going. But if you want to get to the cloud, Mitel is a great offering, some great incentives to get there. There are other offerings out there that are in our portfolio that you can look at, and based on your needs, we're going to take you to the right place. So we're doing these lunch and learns once a month. We're doing 2 next month. We're doing one on Google, on G Suite, and on GCP. So look for the invite coming out, Ellen, next week or so about that. But we're real excited to get that one. We're going to be doing one with TrustWave for security coming up here. I think that's the 2 for next month, or that might be in October. Right. I don't know.
Yep.
But those are the ones coming up.
Right, September and October are pretty busy. Yeah, TrustWave will be in October, and SADA will be in September.
So we're breaking out of the UCaaS, CCaaS lanes that we've been in a long time, and we're starting to talk about bigger and better things about with cloud and the digital transformation. So with that, I thank you for your time. We'll get these questions and answers all done. We'll send out the recording here in the next couple of days, and see you guys soon. Against Microsoft Phone. Right, I think it's kind of what we're kind of hit through the whole time here. To me, the Microsoft, if you are not making a lot of calls and you do not value voice and you're making a couple calls a day and you don't need to call international, you don't need tech support, the Microsoft PSTN calling will work. It's expensive. This is no charge. You get to use your existing infrastructure, but it works. But it's very limited in feature and scope. If you are used to and need the advanced features that you've grown accustomed to in the Mitel world, that's where I say you're going to need something more than what Teams is offering out of the gate for their PSTN connectivity. And it's expensive because you got to do the U5, then you got to do the license, then you got to put on the PBX license, and then you got to put a calling plan on there, and it gets complex, expensive, and there's no support for it. So, it's a case by case basis. Okay, well, we'll get back to that. So for the direct routing. Yeah, for the direct routing for on-premise, will it be license-based cost? I think it will be. There will be some form of SBC required, so there'll be some hardware where I need to connect to Teams. It's really going to be through a third party that if you're interested, I can tell you about later. So there will be a charge for it. I don't know the charge. It's got to be cost effective and cheaper than what Teams is doing today, or else there's no point in doing it. So costs will be revealed. If you have questions about what's coming down the pike, you want to get in deeper discussions, get a hold of us, and we'll have more conversations with that. Thank you, Eric. I love the question. Okay, I think there's a couple of really obscure ones that we'll do one-on-one with. That's about it. That's what I got. Travis, you want to couple closing remarks, and I'll wrap it up too.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the time, Matt, to get out and talk. I think we're just. I hope we've shown during this our commitment to at Mitel to making sure that advanced voice features and telephony, working those into the existing workflows of customers. So we know that Teams is being used by a lot of people today, and that's why we are making such an investment and so putting a lot of resources to making sure that we have the best integrations that we can with them. So
awesome. And I'll end it with, if you haven't figured out, Packet Fusion is transformed. We're no longer a premise-based ShoreTel VAR, right? We are now a cloud and cloud advisor, right? We're understanding your needs and taking you to the cloud solution that is the right fit for you. And it just might happen to be Mitel, but it could be one of others. And Teams plays a role into where we're going to take you for your next generation UCaaS solution. A lot of you may stay on-prem for a long time. Mitel is committed and dedicated that your ShoreTel Connect product will be alive for another 10 years with new cool fun features that we're showing you here. So rest assured you're alive and you're going. But if you want to get to the cloud, Mitel is a great offering, some great incentives to get there. There are other offerings out there that are in our portfolio that you can look at, and based on your needs, we're going to take you to the right place. So we're doing these lunch and learns once a month. We're doing 2 next month. We're doing one on Google, on G Suite, and on GCP. So look for the invite coming out, Ellen, next week or so about that. But we're real excited to get that one. We're going to be doing one with TrustWave for security coming up here. I think that's the 2 for next month, or that might be in October. I don't know.
Yep.
But those are the ones coming up.
Right, September and October are pretty busy. Yeah, TrustWave will be in October, and SADA will be in September.
So we're breaking out of the UCaaS, CCaaS lanes that we've been in a long time, and we're starting to talk about bigger and better things about with cloud and the digital transformation. So with that, I thank you for your time. We'll get these questions and answers all done. We'll send out the recording here in the next couple of days, and see you guys soon.